He is a scientist at Division of Molecular Biology and Diagnostic, Vector Control Research Center, Field Station, Indian Council of Medical Research. Sir holds a PhD from Madurai Kamaraj University, and he has many professional and academic positions which he has been holding till date. And he has various professional memberships in global societies, which includes membership in World Virology Society, DBT nominee. He also has three patents which has been filed, and one is still under filing. Sir has a lot of extramural funding also obtained from Department of Science and Technology India, ICMR New Delhi, and he has reviewed quite a few reputed journals. He also works as a reviewer in reputed scientific journals. He is also a member of quite a few doctoral committees of various universities. He has worked as a resource person in the first Asian Biosafety Training course on Asian Center for Training in Biosafety Assessment for Human Health and Environment using genetically modified vectors, which was conducted by Center for Research in Medical Entomology. He is also a contributor of various chapters in books. So, sir, on behalf of the college, Oxford College of Engineering and Department of Biotechnology, I welcome you being the speaker of this session. And now I hand it over to you to start the session, sir.
Okay. Madam, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank for the kind words, and I would like to extend my gratitude to Professor Manjunatha, and who has given me this opportunity to discuss with your young generation, and also the team which has helped Dr. Manjunatha for this success. And on behalf of my director, Professor Dr. Ashwani Kumar, ICMR VCRG, he has shared his wishes for your incidents should be a grand success. And thank you very much. And kindly see, can you see my slides now? Is it seen?
No. Share your slides.
Slides can be seen, madam.
It's loading, sir. Yes, sir. Goes for slideshow.
Slideshow, where it is?
Sir, down, keel and 89% பக்கத்துல ஒரு இது இருக்கும்.
One minute. It shows.
So that.
Madam, is it okay?
Yes, still loading, sir. I guess. That's all.
You should go on slideshow and then share that. Okay, open PPT.
Sir, slide is visible, but it is not in slideshow actually.
இதில் போய் பண்ணுமா?
Sir, you can stop sharing.
Okay, can I start now?
You can start, but before that you can stop sharing, and first you make the slideshow in a presentation mode, and then you share the slides.
Okay, first slide show போட்டு 1 minute. சரி, இந்த ஸ்லைட் ஷோ போட்டு இந்த சைடு ஷோல போட்டுட்டு
no we need to present
இல்ல போட்டுட்டு அப்புறம் இந்த ஷேரா ஷேர் பண்ணவா?
Now you make slideshow in a presentation mode, sir.
Okay. Is it okay?
Now you share, sir.
Okay. Can I start now, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this kind opportunity. And I wish to congratulate the organizers who has made a very good topic in the right time, because as you know, earlier the popular notion is publish or perish, especially for the scientific community. Now it has transformed into patent or perish now. So we are in an era of developing a deliverable, a product which will be useful for the public health, and the normal data-based research will be definitely. The disturbance, sir? Okay. Now, all the research should end up with the public health important product, innovative designs, and which should make our country ahead of the whole world in patent and product development. And my topic I'm going to discuss today is vector-borne diseases in India, need for innovative options for intervention. Is it audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead.
When we talk about the vector-borne diseases, you know the popular vectors, mosquito, everybody knows. You can see here, and the ticks, the popularly known ticks, which is a serious problem in veterinary as well as for public health importance, and also the unseen people. Most of the people doesn't know about the mites, because mites are small, tiny insects like ticks, and they also potential vectors, can act as a vectors for transmission of many public health important pathogens. And you know the sandfly, which is a tiny insect like a housefly, and also midges. This picture shows you an overall view about the different vectors involved in the transmission of potential pathogens to human. And as far as these vector-borne disease is concerned, because vector can transmit many pathogens, the important I'm going to highlight here, the viral infections, popularly known as the Japanese encephalitis. Many people know this. Dengue, chikungunya, and West Nile. I'm highlighting for examples, and many things are there I'm going to cover up in my following lecture. And the rickettsial infections, many people in fact not aware of this rickettsial infection, and these are all very dangerous public health problem. The best example is the scrub typhus, and this is very common in India. I'm going to deal with this in depth in my following slides. And then malaria, the whole world knows, is a protozoan infection, and the lymphatic filariasis, which is the overman's disease. We call it as an elephantiasis, or in Tamil it is called Yanakal Vyadi. And the Lyme disease, which is caused by spirochetes, but of course this is very dangerous problems in foreign countries, in other countries, and in India cases have been detected. Now many of these infections are reported re-emerging or emerging. And though the vector-borne diseases are transmitted by many pathogens like protozoa, rickettsia, I'm going to focus only on arboviruses because my expertise on the handling arboviruses. These are all transmitted by vectors. And first, I would like to give you a brief outline. What is an arbovirus? It's nothing but arthropod-borne viruses or arboviruses. So arthropod is nothing but insects. Usually it consists of the ticks, mites, mosquitoes, and so on. And arboviruses occurs all parts of the world, and it is a global problem except the certain polar ice capped areas. And more than 500 arboviruses have been so far reported. And mainly these arboviruses are classically classified into the 5 families. As you know, the nominal classification group these viruses into families. So these are Togaviridae, Flaviviridae, Bunyaviridae, Rheoviridae, and Rhabdoviridae. And these names are maybe new to the people, but when I mention the group members of these families, people will amaze. Like if you see Flaviviridae, the dengue virus is included in Flaviviridae, the West Nile virus is included here, chikungunya is in Togaviridae, and so on. About 130 viruses which are found causing human infection, and around 40 infects animals. And many of these pathogens are act as in zoonosis. What do you mean by zoonosis? These zoonotic pathogens have the potential from transmit from animal to human. The best example is the zoonosis. You can see the recently affecting the whole world. The second one, the viruses, they generally have a complex structure, but they seems to be very simple in their genome, capsid, nuclear capsid, and envelope. This is the organizational structure. How you have like a body which contains muscles, bones, nerves, head, something like that. The viruses have genome, capsid, nuclear capsid, and envelope. And you will amaze that even in vectors, there are 300 types of mosquito are found. They can transmit arboviruses. You see particularly the examples like Aedes mosquitoes, which is a popular vector of dengue hemorrhagic fever virus. 115 arboviruses, they transmit Aedes mosquitoes. And on the other hand, Culex mosquitoes, they transmit 105 arboviruses. Similarly, I'm introducing to you the ticks also. They are also potential vectors. These arboviruses, they cause typical 3 kind of illness in human. They usually one group of viruses, they cause influenza-like infection. The other one is the encephalitis virus, encephalitis cases, and dangerous hemorrhagic fevers. And I have given a few examples there. The dengue usually comes like a mild influenza-like infection. JE, which causes severe encephalitis, the involvement of brine. Then hemorrhagic fever, the dangerous dengue hemorrhagic fever. And since you are from Bangalore, the KFD, Kaisanur forest disease, a monkey fever is also causing a hemorrhagic fever. And Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, that is called CCHF. And these are all dangerous hemorrhagic fevers, and which causes a serious death rates in the affected people. And as a global scenario, these are the recently emerged viruses, because you can understand my word emergence, like if it is freshly emerging in a particular area, a particular pathogen, but earlier it was not known, now it is found emerging. And there are certain viruses re-emerging because the virus is already known in a particular area, but they will be controlled in that time and keeping silent for several years. Again, at suitable favorable condition, they will re-emerge. So in the case of viruses, we have 2 terminology. One is emerging viruses and re-emerging viruses. And these are the list I have shown that we have a JE in Australia. Earlier it was not there in Japanese encephalitis. Now JE has emerged in Australia, and Nipah virus in Malaysia, and it was recently reported in Kerala also. People can know the Kerala situation, and Chandipura virus in India, and Sitivan virus in Malaysia. Nobody can forget the abrupt emergence of Zika virus in India, and these are all chikungunya also we faced, and West Nile virus, which is also in India, but it is very serious in USA and Europe. And these are the global scenario. I'm showing some of the viruses which emerging. Now, as far as India is concerned, we have certain priority pathogens like dengue is a serious problem, Japanese encephalitis virus, KFD virus, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever virus, because why I am shown here a red color, it is hemorrhagic fever virus. Then malaria, nobody can forget, Chandipura, rickettsial infection, especially scrub typhus, and chikungunya. These are the pathogens which are causing serious public health problem in India. And the other viruses also, these are all some recently emerged Bahasa virus in Spain, and Schmallenberg virus in Northern Europe, Zika virus in Oceania, blue tongue virus here, and these are all the recently emerged arboviruses. Now it definitely indicates that whenever the conditions arises, these viruses can emerge at any situation and cause a serious public health problem. Now, I would like to throw light on individual diseases and where we can concentrate on the development. The main idea is I wanted to give you a brief introduction about the particular disease, their importance, and what are all the areas where we can concentrate for developing innovative ideas. Like many of the diseases are very age-old problems, because dengue virus is a serious public health problem throughout the world more than 50 years, but still we are fighting for the elimination or control of this disease, because many times the conventional techniques, the conventional control methods are not found very encouraging in controlling the pathogen. So as a scientist, as a young generation, we should find out the priority area where we can concentrate, where we can take up, which is the priority area, and where the young minds can apply innovative idea to develop innovative products, tools, methods, and techniques which can successfully control these pathogens. Now I am going to give one by one dengue. As you know, this is a very important infection caused by a flavivirus. This is also called dengue virus. And just an introduction, around the world, this is one of the fastest spreading vector-borne diseases around the world. And is it audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Sir.
Yes. I should not continue without asking you.
In case if your voice is not here, we will inform you.
Okay. Around the globe, there are 390 million. The recent estimate shows that the case importance, like the burden of the disease, what they call it as burden of the disease, 380 million cases of dengue infection occurs every year. Can you imagine? And this is 96 millions. Actually, the cases are coming out, like it is apparently appear. Because as you know, in virus infection, subclinical infections are there or clinical infections are there. We need not worry about the subclinical infection, because patient may feel very mild infection. The symptoms will not appear outside, but in apparent infection, the symptoms will appear. So this is called mild, what we call as inapparent infection. 96 million infections, they apparently appear. And you know, the dengue hemorrhagic fever, dengue shock syndrome is very dangerous. And now it is, people are working hard to control these kind of treat and save the precious life of the patients. And Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus are the vectors. And one unfortunate thing is that this is an age-old disease. Still, we don't have vaccine, no specific treatment strategy available. So these are the left out area. These are all waiting for the young generation to apply their innovative mind to come out with successful vaccine and control measures. And these are all the data which shows the burden of dengue. In India alone contribute around 33 million of dengue infection in global scenario. This contributes around 34% of world scenario. Asia contributes 70%. This gives a brief idea about the importance of the dengue infection. And the map, which the picture which shows that dengue as the distribution pattern of dengue around the globe. You see whole South Asian country and India covered by this infection. The virus is already distributed and become endemic in many parts of the country. And around the world, around 125 countries are now becoming endemic to dengue infections. This virus is having 4 serotypes, what they call it as. I don't want to go into the details. This is just an introduction. I'm just giving an idea. this is serotype 1. Why I am mentioning this? These are very important for development of vaccines, because you have to select a particular type which can broad react and broad protect the infection. So for vaccine development, these are all very necessary. They have 4 serotypes, and recently serotype 5 is also coming up. They are suspecting. Now a few reports on this is coming up. And dengue, as you know, classically they cause fever, vomiting, rash, joint pains, and severe headache. And this is the dangerous hemorrhagic. In severe patients, they may appear as dengue hemorrhagic manifestation. You can see the gum bleeding. You can see the hemorrhagic manifestation, bleeding from the nose in severe conditions. This is the typical rash in dengue cases and hemorrhagic manifestation. And the virus is circulated in the nature between man and mosquito, and which you can see the virus is maintained here. How the virus is circulated. There is no intermediate monkey or anything is involved for the transmission. And as I told you, since 15 years, we have no commercial vaccines available, no effective antiviral. Still, it is not available. We are left out only with the vectoral control methods. If you control the vector, the disease can be, the spread can be curtailed. So here we have to concentrate with innovative idea is very much needed here in developing control tools, control methods, and control products, and also diagnostics is urgently needed. Still, this area is very much left out. The whole world is working on these aspects. So the younger new minds with innovative ideas can take up a career in this and develop. And nobody can forget the Zika virus, which emerged recently. It has created the whole world into tension, and mainly because this virus is transmitted by mosquito, and it can also be transmitted through blood transfusion, through sexual contact, and mother to child. The major problem of the disease is it can cause Guillain-Barré syndrome, as well as the microcephaly in children, newborn babies. This was a serious problem in Brazil and other countries. But even the cases where one or few were detected from India, but it was not found causing that much serious illness in India. And still, as far as Zika is concerned, still we don't have any commercial vaccine or treatment strategy. Still, it is going on. Now, chikungunya virus, because this is also recently emerged. This is one more mosquito transmitted infection. And you can see the patients who suffered with this chikungunya recently, 2010 and other, the whole Southeast Asian countries, the whole India was affected with a lot of cases. And you can see the typical joint swelling and the pain which people can understand, those who suffered with the disease. And this is the picture which shows that whole India is covered, distributed here. And again, I wanted to stress here, there is no vaccine available till now, no effective drugs available. Need innovative approaches like eco-friendly vector control, better vaccines, and better diagnostics. And the other one is the Japanese encephalitis. This is very much a serious problem in Southeast Asia. And you know, this is a serious problem in Karnataka also, particularly in Mandya districts, where the paddy cultivation is very in full swing. It is going on. You see the disease, the spread of the disease, the Southeast Asia has been covered up by this disease virus. And this is a mosquito transmitted disease. Whole up to Australia it has reached now. Earlier there was no cases, but India, China, Taiwan, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Burma, now it has reached Australia. Even Papua New Guinea also infected. Luckily, we have vaccine, because this virus is transmitted by 3 known vectors called, you can see the picture here, Culex pseudo-vishnui, Culex trichniorhynchus, and Culex vishnui. Because these are all very interesting for the non-scientific person, particularly for engineering students and other people, biotech students, because these informations will only be available in the referred laboratories like ICMR, and any students very much interested to take up this as a research career, they can approach ICMR, right? And the pigs are the main amplification hosts in the case of Japanese encephalitis. So this is mainly, earlier it was found occurring in the rural areas, right? Now, luckily, we have a vaccine for JE, and earlier it was mouse brain derived vaccine was used. Now the SA-14-14-2 vaccine is very successfully used, but unfortunate thing is that still this is a Chinese vaccine, and we now our vaccines are coming up, Indian vaccines are coming up, and we also entered in that area, and we have a considerable success and significant contribution in this area. Again, innovative options are still needed for JE control. Better diagnostics are needed. Better vector control tools and methods are needed. Antivirals are needed here, and innovative control measures are always a necessity for eradicating this disease. Now, West Nile, in Karnataka also this West Nile virus is detected many times. And if you see the literature, particularly the southern India, the distribution of this virus is very much prevalent there. And this is always co-circulating with other arboviruses, and this is also transmitted by Culex mosquitoes. And this is a serious, now it has been emerging in Assam, Kerala, and which is causing sporadic encephalitis cases here. But this is a serious problem in USA and Europe. Till now, no vaccine available, and better diagnostics is needed now. Another one is the Chandipura encephalitis. I think I'm not boring, but these are all very important emerging mosquito or vector transmitted infections. And this is Chandipura virus, which has emerged in Andhra Pradesh and affected many children. And Andhra Pradesh also, in Maharashtra also, this was it was found caused 400 encephalitis cases among children, and very high rate of 115 deaths were detected. This is also, but we still, this is the sandfly, a small tiny insect like a housefly like thing, which is found transmitting this Chandipura virus. Still, we have no vaccine here. These are all the left out area where the young minds can concentrate for developing and applying innovative approaches for disease control. And this is the Kaisanur forest disease, and in Western Ghats, particularly from Shimoga forest, this virus was found emerged during 1957. This is also popularly known as monkey fever, and many Karnataka people knew about this. And this is a very potential tick transmitted virus infection. And now, because the virus infected monkeys die in the Western Ghats forest, especially the Shimoga area and Dakshin Kannada, Uttar Kannada, all the other places, Chikmagalur, all other places, these virus circulation has been detected. And I don't want to go into this. It's very dangerous pathogen, biosafety level 4 level pathogen. To handle this virus pathogen or working with pathogen, you need a high containment facility, which is available in NIV Pune, like meeting that, which is available in very specialized laboratory like National Institute of Virology, because the handling person is highly susceptible for getting laboratory transmitted infection. So we need to be very careful while handling this virus. And you can see the area which I have shown in Karnataka only. This disease is highly spreading in Shimoga, all areas like Uttar Kannada, Udupi, all the Chikmagalur area. This is here. You see the bonnet monkey, langur monkeys are very much suffering this infection, and they die with the infection. Tribals also highly susceptible to this infection. And treatment, we have a successful vaccine, we have a vaccine developed by India, and NIV, Pune and Karnataka, they have developed a vaccine. But still, after 50 years, starting from its first detection in 1957, still today, till today, it is causing infection. We are unable to control or eliminate this infection. And we have to find out innovative options to control this. We need still a better vaccine for this KFD, and better diagnostics also commercially should be available, and eco-friendly vector control tools are available. The other one is another dangerous international pathogen called Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. Here, this is in India, we have problem in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Ahmedabad areas, and case fatality is around 80%. It's very dangerous if we get the infection. This is transmitted by a tick. I don't want to go into the pathogen side. This is person to person. It will spread the disease particularly. This is called nosocomial transmission also. If an infected person is handled by the doctor, he also likely to get the infection through the nosocomial transmission. So this is very dangerous, and I don't want to go into the detail. These are the recent outbreaks, including Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, where this outbreak has occurred. This is the potential tick which transmit the pathogen to human. And here, vaccine, till today there is no vaccine, and luckily we have a ribavirin antiviral is there, and with that we are trying to treat the patient to safeguard their precious life. And still we need to develop innovative control measure. This area is also left out for a need urgently the innovative measures to develop a disease. The other one is the scrub typhus. As I told you, this is a very serious problem, mite transmitted as infection. Serious problem in India. This is an age-old disease. Here the mortality rate is around 30%. Especially the military personnels and eco-tourists and the farmers are highly susceptible for this infection when they come in contact with the vectors which are present in the paddy field, soil, and near shrubs, etc. And this is very much important. You can see the mites, and this is the rickettsial diseases. As you know, this is the general background. You can see here the area where the Shushugamushi, this is also called Shushugamushi disease, a Japanese name, Shushugamushi disease. And you can see the area where the disease have already spread. Every time the India is also there. And this is in India, as far as India, this disease is very common in Himalayas, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. That doesn't mean that other areas are devoid of this, because if the surveillance system is there, better detection system is there, definitely we will come to know its wide circulation. You can see the typical, it's a scar, what they call it as eschar. If you find anything after visiting your field or forest expedition, if you see a small scar-like thing, that is called eschar, there is a possibility that the disease can, the mite has bitten you. And here, luckily, we have a tetracycline antibiotic, and with that we can treat the patient. But since though it is an age-old problem, still we don't have a vaccine. Novel vaccine technology is urgently needed. The world is working against this, and ultra-sensitive diagnostics are, because many areas are left out, though the disease is very old. Now the question arises, why there is an innovation needed? The present situation, if you analyze the whole data, there is an increasing insecticide resistance, because this has been conventionally used for the control of vectors. Whenever we get outbreak in a particular area suspected to be vector-borne, immediately people spray people might be knowing fogging, spraying of insecticide, and trying to curtail the density of the vector by preventing the transmission. But the recent trend is that these vectors can act, they develop insecticide resistance, and the sprayed insecticides were found not useful. And this is a dangerous situation because we are left out with one armory to control the vectors. But even if it is failed, then what is the next item we have? Then rapidly expanding arboviral diseases. The viruses are moving because the vectors are also moving from one place to, because viruses doesn't need any LOC, line of control. They don't need any passport to travel from one country to other country. They are freely moving, and this has been expanding recently. And the major factor has been suspected to be the climate change. The climate change has been found to contribute in the spread and emergence of vector-borne diseases. Now, if you see the incidence trend, it is increasing now. So we urgently need innovative measures to apply our ideas in a novel way to emergencyly control this pathogen spread and save the public health. And these are the main areas you can see, the areas where we can, because if you know the area and where we have to put our time and energy and ideas to develop for successful control. Here, the innovative control suits are one important area. Control methods are area. Diagnostic is very, very important, and surveillance tools, because we know where the virus, which virus. And these are some of the innovative mosquito traps present. If you see the web, you can find out day by day the innovative ideas are coming up. These are all, I have just present them, how to develop, what are all the way people are thinking, how we have to energize our mind to apply our precious knowledge and develop innovative mosquito traps. This shows a different kind of, because hundreds of things are coming, but none of them were found very useful. Still, the area is open for the younger mind to develop innovative products. And ICMR, VCRC, Puducherry and Madurai, we have developed recently, because of intellectual property rights. I am unable to show our products because it is under patent filing mechanism is going on. So I'm apology for sharing my innovative products, because I can share the idea with all your young minds. And now I'm showing which is already patented product. And if you see the innovative trap, a couple of 3 products were developed by VCRC also, and the preliminary evaluations are very successful, and we have filed for patent in ICMR. Now the patenting process is going on. You see, these are all encouraging how people are applying their knowledgeable mind to develop innovative products. Our students in the capacity with the young minds, everybody should come out with an innovative idea, try to apply their innovative mind in developing product-based deliverables like for patenting, and bring our country top among the world, right? And you can see, in addition to the trap, you just see the future diagnostic, all are flexible diagnostics, because engineering students can see VCRC, Puducherry and our group, particularly my group, we are developing a biosensor also for vector-borne disease diagnosis. And these are all very innovative ideas, like simple, very ultra sensitive. You see the wearable flexible sensors are now coming up, very simple tools. It's like it attached with your cloths or in textiles, you can find out the disease diagnosis. Now these are all, we also concentrated on developing bio sensors for vector-borne disease diagnosis. The young mind can develop such an attitude to apply their innovative mind to develop such innovative tools that will greatly contribute to the country. And this is one of the innovative approach I have recently published, and I have proposed here for the control of KFD in Karnataka area. You can see this is a banana-based transgenic vaccine I have proposed, and the concept was published in Human Vaccines and Immunotherapeutics. These are all innovative ideas. You just imagine if you eat a banana which is loaded with the vaccine for protection of against monkeys as well as human. Such innovative methods should be come from the young minds to apply their knowledgeable mind in controlling of vector-borne diseases. Here I have shown a single vaccine which is cloned in the banana. This is an innovative concept which has been accepted. The other one is from my same group, and we have published same thing. Here I have proposed a dual vaccine. Like you can see the green and red proteins which is transformed into the edible bananas. You just think you can bring anything. Now recently I heard that bacteria can give cow milks. Now the cow is not needed for producing milk. Bacteria can give cow milk. You see, such innovative approaches should come from the young mind, and always we have to approach in an innovative way. And scrub typhus, you know, this is very, very important. Any young scientists, even engineers, even biotech people, they can concentrate for the development of rapid diagnostics. This has a huge commercial potential, and you can develop. Presently, some of our scientists are also developing. So why I am sharing this, because I wanted to ignite the younger minds, like they have to develop an innovative approach, like approaching a problem with an innovative novel idea instead of following it's a conventional way. And these are all the diagnostic of a microfluidic platform, microarray, and QCM, ELISA, which clearly shows the recent developments. Where are all the ways or which are the areas we can concentrate. This is another small sequencer, you know, without sequencing nothing now. You can see the small stabler like material which can sequence the pathogen. This has been successfully used in Zika surveillance in Brazil. You see a person sitting in a ground with his vehicle, and he was doing sequencing on the roadside and detecting the pathogen within no time. See, such innovative ideas we should develop from India. We have the highest population, we have all expertise, we have knowledge, we have education, but still these products are coming from outside. And we have to take a pledge that our Indian mind should put our time, energy, take it as a challenge and innovate for our country. And this is in Norway, the nanotech is now entered in every area. You can see the lateral flow kits. These are really inspiring. The young generation should come out with product-based research. Finally, I complete and conclude my talk with the famous quotes of Steve Jobs, the Apple hero. If you define the problem correctly, you almost have the solution. The second one is for the younger generation, all our members, that focus on being productive instead of busy. The famous quote of Tim Ferriss. Thank you for patient hearing. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was a very informative and a very elaborate talk. Now I request the attendees, if you have any questions or doubts, you can unmute yourself or post your question to the chat box. Sir will answer them.
Paramasivan sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And since most of us are faculties in higher education institute, and if you can tell us the previous opportunities at your institute to do internship or project for students, it will be useful for us.
Yes, sir. You have a very useful question you are asking, sir. I'm very much thankful that you are always thinking about your students' development. It's very happy. It's a good sign. And our ICMR VCRC is very much interested. Our director, Dr. Aswani Kumar, is very much interested in supporting the young generation. And even if you want project students, you can apply. Those who are interested, address to the director, VCRC Pondicherry. Sir, is it audible? Is it audible? Sir, is it audible?
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Yes. So you can the interested candidate can apply to the director VCRC Pondicherry. The addresses are available on the net on ICMR VCRC website. and director will approve, and a prescribed fee format, a nominal fee format is there, and students can easily come and work with us, especially even the interdisciplinary people are always welcome with electronics and other background, because for developing sensors, electronic sensor, rapid sensor, these interested, particularly biotech students, can easily approach. And not only, it is not limited to only the students, any interdisciplinary, but it has to have an application towards vector-borne diseases, because this is our trust area. So definitely our director will support your students, sir. Over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sadly, we'll be approaching you. Please help us in
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Joint project.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? The participants, if you have, please come up. You can type in your chat box, or you can unmute yourself and you can ask the.
The one thing is that I'm submitting my apology, because I'm unable to share my innovative product, because considering its intellectual property rights. And if any students, if they are interested, they can approach us, even they can approach me, and we will support you, sir, because we are looking for good young minds for innovative ideas. We can interdisciplinarily apply for vector-borne disease control, for development of particularly diagnostic control measures using the nanotech innovative technique. Many things are there. So anybody can approach us, sir.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you so much, sir. So we, on behalf of the management, staff, and students of the Department of Biotechnology, the Oxford College of Engineering, we extend you a very heartfelt gratitude for the wonderful presentation, sir, and the valuable information. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this excellent lecture, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Manjunatha, sir, and all other team, giving me a wonderful opportunity to interact with your group. I'm looking forward to further any scientific discussion, or if you have any project-oriented ideas, we can join hands and do wonder for our nation, sir. We are looking forward.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you very much for the kind opportunity, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is it over, sir?